when I finally made New York in 1972, and I was on the station that broadcast the games. I kind of did pre and post. They didn't have much of a radio contract. They were the doldrums of the Yanks and CBS. Anyway, Marty was the PR director of the Yankees when we became buddies. And then when I got back to New York to do the Yankees in '89, he was the producer of the games on Channel 11. He's written a lot of books, and boy, he's got a honey here we're going to talk about. And Will Rhymes, the little second baseman, a left-hand hitter, takes a strike from Nova, and we're underway. Rhymes was with Detroit. He is 5 for 17 on the year. And the 0-1, a breaking ball strike, beautiful breaking ball. Well, the book is called Pinstripe Empire, and it goes chronologically through every year of the Yankees from 1903 till now. And year by year, you'll hear all the inside stories. You'll find out things you never knew. Pitch, grounded, foul. And I'm told, Marty, I think it's a fabulous book if you're a Yankee fan. My goodness, it's like the Bible for the Yankees.
Actually, and thanks for having me on, by the way, but it's really for all baseball fans because the Yankees are so important to baseball history that you can't be a baseball fan without...
0-2 is high, 1 and 2.
Without knowing Yankee history.
I have a question. Here's because there are so many things in there that I don't know how you found them out in the first place.
Yeah.
But what surprised you the most?
As Nova deals 1-2 to Rhymes, pitch outside.
I developed a much greater appreciation for Jacob Ruppert, who, let's face it, he bought Babe Ruth, he built Yankee Stadium, he created the dynasty.
Here's Nova's 2-2 to the left-hand hitter. And the pitch is swung on, a high fly down the corner in right field. Swisher looking at it. And he makes the catch. Foul territory. Just about out of our view, but he reached it and made the catch, one away.
And Ruppert, for almost the entire time that he owned the team, first he had to go through prohibition, and that was his income, he owned a brewery, and that was followed by the Great Depression. So he was financially strapped through all those years, but nobody paid attention to it, least of all him. He kept putting money back into the team.
Sean Rodriguez, the right-hand hitter, is a little tapper back to the mound. Nova fields and throws. 2-2. Don't worry, I know what you're thinking, Marty. The next guy's going to come up and make out in one pitch. Then you'll be here at the bottom of the third.
Well, you know, there's somebody else we know that put every penny back into his name. That comes a little later.
I was going to say, it really set the precedent for how to properly run this business, and George Steinbrenner followed that. But while George Steinbrenner used to like to say it was like buying the Mona Lisa, Ruppert was kind of Da Vinci. He created it in the first place.
He created it. And I had no idea he didn't have money.
Neither did I. Here's Jose Molina. Cut on and missed.
Well, he did at first, but then he had prohibition, which sapped his whole brewery income, followed by the Great Depression, where nobody was making money.
Molina, a right-hand hitter, is 11 for 54, a homer, 5 RBIs. Pitch is grounded right back to Nova. To first base. Well, what happened is the players found out Marty was going to be on this, so let's have the fastest inning possible. But we're going to continue to sell your book in the bottom half, so stay right there. 3 up, 3 down at the end of 2.5, no score on the Yanks Radio Network, driven by Jeep. Molina grounded back to the mound. That was the 15th out of the game. And Geico reminds you that 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Call Geico at 1-800-947-AUTO or visit them at geico.com. We're visiting with Marty Appel, the former Yankee PR director, former producer of their telecast, who has written a phenomenal book called Pinstripe Empire. And Amazon and Barnes & Noble wants to sell one of those books to you. And I've read the book cover to cover, and it is fabulous. Any baseball fan would love it. Eduardo Nunez leads off, takes a curveball strike, and the 0-1 hit right up the middle for a base hit to center field. So Nunez, been struggling, gets a base hit. He is now 13 for 47 on the year. No homers, 5 RBIs. Here's my big question. How did you do all the research to find out all the things that happened in 1903 to 1920 and then Babe's Day and then Joe D's Day at all?
Oh, there's a lot of untapped resources, and the New York Public Library was great because they have all the old newspapers that are long defunct. And of course, lots written about the Yankees over the years. But I was honored to work for the Yankees starting in '68, and I was smart enough to listen, and I knew history was going on around me every day.
Here's Derek Jeter. There's a strike. In the 30s, DeMaz joined the team in '36. In '36 and '39, they won 4 straight pennants, 4 straight World Series, and they murdered the opposition. And those teams don't get the recognition of other teams.
It's true. Here's a DiMaggio thing I'll bet you don't know. From 36 to 42, he played every inning of every All-Star game.
I would not have known.
Wow. Well, they didn't want to come out of games then. It was an honor, and they played every inning of every game that they were in, all of them.
Sure, you know, that's how Teddy hit a home run in the 9th inning.
Right.
He was still in the game.
He still had a game and had broken his elbow and wouldn't come out of the game.
It'll be an 0-1 to Jeter. Jeter grounded to second his first time. And Shields delivers swung on, grounded foul off third.
I have a question. I've always, we know that when Babe Ruth was sold here and that became the house that Ruth built, when that sale happened, did everybody in New York know that it was going to be that good? Did people pay attention back then?
He was a big name. Everybody knew his name, but there were still a lot of people, a lot of baseball fans who loved the old style of Honus Wagner and Ty Cobb, and they thought that his style of play was not to their taste.
The 0-2 line foul down the right field line out of play. The lot remains 0-2.
A lot of people defended Harry Frazie's sale by saying, this guy isn't baseball, this isn't what the game's about.
What, if you could go back in time with what you found out, what would be your favorite era? Besides the one that you've lived in the last 50 years with. But what would be your favorite era that you could go back and live through that?
Well, not that he would have known my name, but of course I would have loved to have traveled with Babe Ruth. He was such a magnificent character.
The 0-2 tapped weakly to third. Keppinger fields, throws to first in time. Nunez takes seconds, and the Yanks have a runner in scoring position with 1 out for Grandison.
Mickey Mantle was my hero, and I did get to work here while Mickey was still an active player, and that was a tremendous thrill for me.
Well, you repeat, you really did research. You repeat conversations in all of those years, so you get in, let's say it's 37, DeMaz second. Well, you kind of live with the Yankees as they just slaughtered the opposition in those 4 years. And, people talk about the 27 team and the 61 team, the 98 team. Well, those teams are awfully good. Does it ever amaze you, Marty? Right now there are 3 men on the right side for Grandison. Nunez at second with 1 out, and the pitch cut on this. Ever amaze you that the Yankees were able to get these players continually and continue to win?
The fact that they would just keep regenerating the roster and bringing in superstar after superstar remains amazing. But as the legend of the franchise grew, this is where good ball players wanted to play.
There's the 0-1.
By the way, they just missed the 1940 pennant, lost it in the final. Had they won in 1940, they would have had 8 straight.
And that's phenomenal. And here's the 1-1 to Grandison. Swung on, grounded weakly to first. Pena flips to Shields in time. Nunez takes third. Were you amazed at the DiMaggio numbers? Not just that they were great numbers, but he was doing it as a right-hand hitter in what was the worst ballpark ever for a right-hand hitter, Yankee Stadium.
He never hit a World Series home run in Yankee Stadium. All his World Series home runs are on the road.
I can understand it. For those who don't know it, left center was 457. When you got around the corner on the line, it was 402. That was like straightaway left. 457 to dead center and 461 to center field. We're not covering enough on this, but it's a book you will love. You can sit there and read this forever.
The famous Al Gianfrido catch.
Yes.
That would have been his only World Series home run in Yankee Stadium.
And that was at the 402 foot sign.
Right.
Now here is A-Rod, runner at third, 2 out. Pitch, a breaking ball strike. And the count 0-1. Here's one thing I learned in the book I never knew. When Babe Ruth hit the home run in 32 in Chicago, did he call the shot or did he not? No one really knows. But anyway, he hit the home run. The Cubs and Yankees were really bench jockeying each other. The 0-1 is a strike. You know what I never knew? The next guy up was Lou Gehrig, and he hit a home run.
Which was the story of Lou's life, actually.
Yeah. Isn't that something? Barnes & Noble and Amazon. It's called Pinstripe Empire. And, by the way, you have to be strong to lift the book. The 0-2 low. This isn't any flimsy book. You know, there's about 800 pages of Yankee lore. Every year, it goes chronologically. Every year, you get involved with the Yankees that year, whether they won or lost or whatever. Here's the 1-2. It's low in the count 2 inches.
And of course, every bookstore, not just Amazon and Barnes & Noble, all fine bookstores everywhere all over the country. I have a question because I have always marveled at, we know what Babe Ruth did, but Gehrig, who hit right behind him, how did he get all those RBIs too?
Yeah,
I've never understood that.
He hit as many as 184 in one season with Ruth hitting ahead of him.
The 2-2 is foul. You know, Suzyn just asked a great question. You know, you read these numbers, you can't believe it. How did he? I mean, the first two guys in the batting order had to be on base all the time.
Exactly. Tony Lazzari and Mark Koenig. And the Gehrig numbers were just phenomenal. But again, he was played in Ruth's shadow the whole time. He had only one season by himself, and then DiMaggio came along.
Right. The 2-2 swung on and pop foul out of play.
I wanted to make a point about the current team because we don't know how Robinson Cano's career is ultimately going to play out. But if he keeps going the way his career has progressed, with A-Rod, Jeter, and Cano...
The 2-2, a breaking ball low. It was blocked, rolled away from Molina, but not far enough. Go ahead.
With all the great Yankees and all the great teams over 110 seasons, with A-Rod, Jeter, and Cano in the field at the same time, you may be looking at the best Yankee at those positions ever at the same time.
And you know, Rizzuto said that right away about Jeter. He said he's a much better player than I ever was. It was very nice of Scooter to say that. There'll be a 3-2. And the pitch is fouled at home plate. And they have a pretty good outfield, too. Ruth, DiMaggio, and Mantle.
Sure. But it's amazing that those three guys playing at the same time after all these seasons might be the best ever in just, you know, one glance out there and you're seeing all three of them.
Here's the payoff. Strike, 3 in the knees. A-Rod takes a call, third strike. The Yankees come up empty. No runs on a hit, they leave one. Marty, thank you. We wish you all the success in the world. The book is, I read it cover to cover. It's a fabulous book. Thanks.
Thank you, John, Suzyn.
And it's out today, by the way.
Yeah, it's out today. Remember that. No runs, 1 hit, 1 left. At the end of 3, no score on the Yanks Radio Network, driven by Jeep.